In BlueSpice, user rights such as admin, write, or read rights are granted through groups. Individual rights are bundled into roles to simplify the process. These different roles are then assigned to the groups. Finally, users are added to the groups to get the needed permissions. To see what group has which rights, we look at the Permission Manager. I click on the Global Actions icon in the navigation menu. Under Administration, I choose Permission Manager. Only admin users can view this link and its associated page. Let's look at the different areas on this page. On the left is a list of all groups that exist in the wiki. The groups bot, bureaucrat, and sysop are shown with a grayed out symbol. This means that as system groups they cannot be deleted. Next to groups, on the right, you see the roles that can be assigned to each group. Right now, we see the permissions for the group user. This group contains all authenticated users, that is, those who are logged in. By default, the reader role is assigned to all users in the wiki on this level. When I click on the info symbol in front of a role, I can see all the individual rights that are bundled in this role. Reader allows users to edit their user preferences, for example. The rights Create Page or Edit are excluded here as expected. It is technically possible to change the rights that go with the role through the configuration on the server, but this is not recommended. Above the user group, there is the group of anonymous users, indicated by the asterisk. We can see that in this wiki, anonymous access is not allowed. Because the basic group user only sets the reader role, the role editor has to be activated explicitly for the group editor. I select the group editor. It has the combined rights of the roles reader and editor. Usually roles don't share many rights, because the role editor contains mainly the rights that distinguishes editors from other roles. Subordinate rights such as read rights are activated separately. The green background for a checkbox indicates the active permissions for the selected group. For the group editor, the role reader has no checkmark but is shown in green. This means that the read permissions have been inherited. If I hover over the first checkbox with the mouse, I see the info that this role is inherited from the group user. Let's try this out with an example. I want that a certain user, let's call him Max, can create and edit pages. I switch to the user management. If Max doesn't have an account yet, I can create it here. I look for Max in the name filter and see that he already has an account. In the column Actions, I select Edit Groups. Then I add the group editor and click Done. Max has now the necessary edit rights. By the way, I can add a group to multiple users at the same time. First, I remove the filter. Then I select the users I want to assign to a group and click on the icon for Edit Groups in the menu bar. It is important to know that you cannot edit these users collectively if you don't want to lose their current group associations. Because in the collective group assignment, the groups are aligned and reset so that all affected users are in the same groups. It is possible to set up user permissions differently for each namespace in the wiki. If you want to find out more about namespaces, you can go to the BlueSpice help desk for info. Let's take the namespace products as an example. In this namespace, I want to create and maintain all pages for the product manuals for my company. One of the contributors to the manuals is Anna. I want that Anna can create and edit pages in this namespace. In addition to Anna, Max should also be able to edit product pages. But other existing wiki editors should not have edit rights for the product pages. So I create an additional editor group for the namespace products. I click on Group Manager. For groups, it often makes sense to name them in the pattern namespace group type. Therefore, I create the group Products Editor. I also start my custom groups with a capital letter so that I can easily distinguish them from existing system groups. Back in the Permission Manager, I can now assign the editor role to this group for the namespace products. The green background as well as the checkmark in the column Wiki shows two things. First, the group gets the exclusive edit rights in the namespace products. Additionally, this group automatically also gets edit rights for the entire wiki. In a wiki, we always assume that users can edit as many areas as possible, as long as a namespace has not been locked down by setting exclusive rights. By the way, I don't check the reader role here. Otherwise, I would assign exclusive read permissions to the product editors in the product's namespace. But I want that all wiki users can read the pages in the product's namespace. Therefore, I leave the inheritance of the read permissions. I confirm that other groups have been blocked from the editor role in the product's namespace. I can now add this group to Anna's user account. So let's go back to the User Manager. Since Max also needs access to the products pages, I add the new group to his account as well. Max has now two editor groups associated with his account. In our scenario, it would be enough to assign the Products Editor group to Max, since this group has edit rights to the whole wiki. So we could remove the generic editor group from here. If I later decide that the group Products Editor can only edit pages in the products namespace, then Max needs the group editor separately again as well to keep all his permissions. Therefore, I'll leave his group assignments for now. Let's recap our settings. The read permissions are inherited by all groups from the group user. This is also true for the namespace products. The group editor can read the product pages, but cannot edit them. The group products editor can read and edit all pages. Most wiki users are usually associated with groups that assign read, edit, or approval rights, which corresponds to the roles reader, editor, and reviewer. To summarize, for assigning user rights, we use 3 different special administration pages. In the Group Manager, I can create the names of new groups. This is necessary if I want to grant special permissions in individual namespaces. Groups are then associated with roles in the Permission Manager. In the User Manager, we assign groups to individual users. Here I can also create and delete user accounts. All authenticated wiki users belong to the group user, in addition to any other groups that are associated with their account. And finally, a tip. Always try to give edit permissions to as many users as possible. Ideally, all wiki users have many ways to contribute to the wiki. After all, each user action is easy to track and to revert. Before you limit any access rights, always ask yourself if this is really necessary. This is the best way of creating a wiki environment that inspires everyone.